Coming up on MCTV this week, we take a look at the polls from yesterday's election, and we also show you why it's important to get your flu shot. This week starts now. Welcome to MCTV This Week with Michelle Nutting. I'm Owen Russell. Thanks for joining us. Yesterday, Americans all across the country and in Monmouth had the chance to voice their opinion in the midterm elections. The midterm elections were not only important for both political parties, but also important to some students.
For me, it is important because after the election, when people complain, it's my biggest thing. You know, if you don't even try to show your voice, then I don't feel you have enough warrant to complain about how America is being run.
This year's election saw a decrease in some key demographic areas. According to CNN, the minority vote dropped from 13% to 10%, and the young voter turnout was down a couple percentage points.
I did a little bit of research, but for a few of them I just kind of voted for whichever the Democratic was, the ones I didn't have research on.
The GOP did take control on the House, but fell short in the Senate. This was the first time since 1948 that so many House seats changed. When the newly elected Congress takes over in January, there will be no African Americans in the Senate. The 3 African American candidates lost their re-election bids last night.
With flu season approaching, we go to Haley Turner in the newsroom with important flu shot information. Haley?
After the H1N1 scare from last year has disappeared, students are still encouraged to get the flu shot.
This year, the H1N1 is in with the seasonal flu vaccine.
So why was the H1N1 vaccine not included in last year's flu shot?
Every year, they take the 3 most common strains and start developing the seasonal flu shot.
Even though the H1N1 scare is gone, it is still a possible threat.
They still think that's primarily the type of flu that will be going around this year. There's also another strain of influenza B that's been pretty prevalent as well, and that's included in the seasonal flu shot.
For students looking for a flu shot, they can go to the health department, to the clinic, or to one of the 4 pharmacies in town, Axline, Walgreens, Shopko, or Warren County Pharmacy. But some students may still choose not to get the flu shot.
If they don't want to have the seasonal flu shot, not everybody likes to take that vaccination. It's really important that they stay home when they're ill, make sure they're washing their hands properly, covering their cough, and really trying to contain their germs and not spread them around. So.
The Warren County Health Department will be giving out flu shots tomorrow for $25 from 9 until noon at the Strom Center. Owen?
How is the population changing in the Midwest? Katie Earhart takes us to a guest speaker who is discussing just that.
University of Northern Iowa Professor Mark Gray spoke on how rapid the Midwest is changing through immigration.
Fundamental restructuring of the nation's demographic profile is being reflected in the rural Midwest. And in many cases, what's happening at the national level is being accelerated into rural Illinois, rural Iowa, and other places.
Titled Immigration in the New Midwest, Gray's talk said the sudden ethnic diversity has many possible causes.
Decline in the total size of the white population, the rural white population, the rapid aging of the white population, the out-migration of young people, and of course the influx of immigrants and refugees into our communities, and of course the challenges and the opportunities that those influxes bring.
Gray is the co-author of Postville, USA, Surviving Diversity in Small-Town America. The book features the northeastern Iowa town of Postville and its experience with diversity before and after a 2008 federal immigration raid. For MCTV, I'm Katie Earhart.
Students interested in grad school had the opportunity to see some options. Gabby Sherley takes us to the annual grad fair.
The annual grad fair brought out many different universities, highlighting diverse options for graduate study.
It's very useful and informative. I wouldn't know where to begin if they didn't have this.
The graduate fair hosted 54 different graduate schools. For MCTV, I'm Gabby Shirley.
Taking a look at some events on campus this week. Sci-Chi is collecting gently used coats, hats, gloves, mittens, boots, and scarves now through November 8th. All donations will go to the Jameson Center and Moldova. Donation boxes have been placed in several campus buildings. On Thursday at 7 p.m. in the Morgan Room of Poling Hall, Mortarboard is sponsoring a new lecture series titled The Last Lecture. This week's presenter is Professor Trudy Peterson. And on Friday, ASAP, SODA, and CEA is sponsoring after hours from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. in the Stockdale Center.
Coming up in sports after the break. The women's volleyball team fights to stay in playoff contention. Welcome back. After dropping their last 2 conference matches, the women's volleyball team needed to beat Grinnell last Tuesday in order to stay in contention for the playoffs this weekend.
Having already clinched a playoff berth, the Scots would have to win 2 out of 3 matches in order to win the league title. But after falling behind in sets 2-1, things weren't looking good. After a lineup change in the 4th set, the Scots got back on track with a 25-19 win. Senior Laura Anton helped the offense with some aggressive serves and defense. During the 5th and final set, the Scots found themselves down 12-9 in a must-win situation, with Grinnell only 3 points away from a win. But in the blink of an eye, the Scots came back, with help from sophomores Chelsea Woodup and Claire Hermy and junior Kendra Newland. The Scots beat Grinnell 20-18.
We really just focused on our ball control. Great night for our seniors. We allowed, Laura came in, served for us, served great, played some good defense, and that was good to see our seniors doing well on senior night.
The Scots went on to win the conference title this weekend, and they will be hosting the playoffs this Friday and Saturday. The football team battled Carroll in their last home game of the season last weekend. It came down to the final seconds. Here's the call from Midwest Conference TV.
Wedekin snaps the ball. Well, he gets the snap. He didn't snap it. He's going to throw it deep. Evan Banks makes the catch at the 5-yard line. They're going to have to hurry.
They got to spike the ball.
They got 20 seconds left on this clock.
But watch this. Watch this little soft touch in the air.
He's going to shoot it into Mike Davis, who makes the catch, and that'll be a Monmouth College touchdown. 14 seconds remaining in the game. The Scots and the Pioneers are tied up at 13.
After a missed field goal attempt by Carroll, the Scots had this chance to score in a sudden death overtime.
Zone Memorial Stadium, Matt Batten, the kicker for Monmouth College, is back out on the field as he sets up for this field goal attempt. If he makes it, it'll win the game. He takes the snap, the kick is up, and that's going to go through the goalpost.
Yep, good.
Monmouth College is going to win this football game in overtime.
The Scots head to rival Knox College this weekend. Speaking of Knox, the men's soccer team squared off against them last Tuesday. Despite the cold and windy weather, many fans came out to watch the match. Monmouth started off the game scoring 2 goals in the first half. The first goal was early in the half, and an assist by sophomore Jordan Langford on a breakaway, and freshman Isaac Hernandez finished it to grab the lead. The second goal deflected off a Knox player and into after a hard cross from sophomore Jake Skimeka. Knox failed to put a point on the board, and Monmouth's Josh Diwali capped the scoring for the day early in the second half to win the game 3-0.
We're glad to walk away with a win. We're improving each and every year, and hopefully next year we can finish within the top 4 and be a #1 contender for the conference.
The men lost their last game of the season to Lake Forest last Sunday. Michelle and Owen will be back after the break. Here are your scores from this week.
Earth doesn't get a second chance.
Go green!
Welcome back. Last Friday, 4 members of the college faculty performed the annual Chamber Music Concert. David and Carolyn Suda, Stephen Richter, and Ian Motion Ross performed 3 pieces of classical music.
And that's MCTV This Week. I'm Ross Donnan.
And I'm Owen Russell. Be sure to tune in this time next week for an all-new episode of MCTV This Week.
And I'm Michelle Nutting. You can also watch us on the web by going to monm.edu/MCTV. But don't turn the channel just yet. There's a new episode of Fusion with Ross and I next. We'll see you next week.